Hello and welcome to a special edition of the NBA presented by OTGBasketball.com. Follow OTG on Twitter at OTGBasketball. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me on opening night, my good friend, Harris Wichard.
What's up, Nick? Really excited now. Opening night in the NBA season. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. We hit all of our preview series, so we're looking forward to getting everyone involved tonight. Follow us on Twitter, as Nick just said, at OTG Basketball. So we're really looking forward to a really special night in the NBA. I know Cavs fans are all jacked up. Warrior fans are always jacked up. My Knick friends are all jacked up. So it's going to be a really fun night. Looking forward to it, Nick.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Like you said, preview series was great. Quick shout out to the OTG staff. Did a great job this season covering the offseason. Did a great job supporting us on the podcast, and thanks to all the listeners. But with further ado, let's get this show started. We got to talk about the biggest thing that happened this offseason. That's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. The Warriors look unstoppable. Preseason, they've looked crazy. Initial thoughts on KD and the Warriors?
Well, we've talked about it a lot ad nauseum. It feels like everybody's taking shots at the guy. A quick thing that I wanted to point out is it's not very different than what LeBron James did in 2010. So everybody killing Durant could take a couple steps back and let the guy live. He wants to win championships. But for me, being up 3-1 is the biggest thing. I think if they had won that series, Nick, and then gone into the finals and lost to the Cavs, it would have been like, all right, he realizes LeBron might be too tough. Let me go team up with Curry. Let's do what the Heat did. Because if you remember in 2010, LeBron was the best player in the world. Dwayne Wade was a top 5 player, and Bosh was a top 10 player. So you could make the argument that those three, the Heat team, would beat the Warriors team or the 73 Warriors team. You could make that argument. So I'm not killing Durant, but it does take away a little bit of the competitive desire, and so that's where it comes in for me, is the competitiveness. Michael Jordan and all those guys would have never done it. Magic Johnson, Isaiah, those guys wanted to kill each other. So it's just about the competitiveness, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I don't really want to talk much about Durant. I expressed my thoughts earlier in this season. It's upsetting, but I want to talk about this Warriors team. Full NBA selections, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and they got Zaza Pachulia to fill it out. On paper, this team could literally win 82 games. Does anybody stand a chance against this Warriors team in the playoffs?
There's one problem. I like to say this all the time. The game is not played on paper, and this team is going to get a lot of people's best shots. I've made this prediction a few times. I'll say it again. I think they'll win less games than what they did last year, but they'll do it in dominating fashion. So what I mean by that is at halftime, Durant and Curry could go home and watch the rest of the game on TV, and they'd be okay. So it's going to be a dominating team to watch. It's going to be historic. They could start off incredible again. But for me, it's going to be very tough to beat them, because if Klay Thompson is off, Curry is off, the chances of all three of them being off aren't very good. It really isn't good for all three of them to be off. So I don't know. I mean, we know the Cavs have a very good chance, but outside of that, I don't know who does.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think we've talked about this in the past, is literally the Warriors could probably have Klay Thompson or possibly, Steph Curry or Kevin Durant get injured, and they could probably still win an NBA final championship.
Yeah, it's very
just
true.
Because the team is so talented. And like you said, no night are all three of these guys going to be off. And I've mentioned before, I think Draymond Green is going to go off this. So much attention on the Curry, Klay, and KD. You can't leave those guys. You can't give them an inch at the 3-point line. So
well, here's the biggest problem for me, Nick. Everyone goes, "Oh, Curry had a horrible finals." Did you see the way they were guarding this man?
Yeah, I think
they doubled every time he came off a pick and roll. They're like, somebody else has got to beat us. In Game 7, Draymond Green made 5 threes that you and I could have made. Well, Draymond Green was wide open in that Game 7. Like, everyone saw Curry this. They stopped him. He was horrible in the finals. But nobody – it's just – to me, that's where I get a little upset, because the guy was being guarded like he was Michael Jordan. They were doubling him, tripling him. He was getting that kind of attention from the Cavaliers' perimeter defense.
Yeah, and what really hurt them in the finals was the performance of Harrison Barnes. Right. So now they replace Harrison Barnes with a top 3 player in the NBA. Not to say it's like easy, you're just going to put KD in, he's going to hit in all these open jumpers, but like it really could happen like that. And KD's going to add another element, because in last year in the postseason, he showed me parts of his game that I've been wanting to see for years. Yeah. He picked it up as a playmaker. He picked it up as a defender. Mm-hmm. He buys into this Warrior system. Mm-hmm. I want the Cavs to be able to beat them, but part of me thinks that nobody has a chance possibly if they all hit on all cylinders. They're just too good.
Well, somebody told me that LeBron is in all these guys' heads. Like I don't know if that's true. I mean, he beat Durant in 2000. What I say? He beat Durant in 2012 in 5, but that was a weird series. I mean, the Thunder won Game 1, and they could have won that series. The Thunder. I don't know what happened to them in that series. James Harden.
James Harden had
Harden was awful. But then you look going forward, and it's like, okay, Curry's beaten him once in the finals, and other than that, like, LeBron has lost to the Spurs before. Like, when you're three, and listen, the LeBron fans are going to get all over me because they know I'm a Curry guy. But when you're 3 and 4 in finals, you're not in anybody's head. You're the best player in the world. You are the best player in the world. LeBron James is the best player in the world, but he's not in anybody's head. Like, yes, did Curry and Durant come together to probably beat this man? Probably, but it's like, to be honest with you, like, LeBron to me is the most dominant and best player in the league, but I don't think he's in anybody's head. I think that's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah, I don't think he's in anybody's head. I think the Warriors tried to get in his head last year in the finals, and obviously we saw how that turned out. But I don't think they're in his head other than the Cavs. Can be the Spurs, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Clippers, maybe even the Blazers, or maybe even OKC. Can any of these teams stand a chance against the Warriors?
In the West?
In the West or the East? West or East?
In the West, I'm gonna say the Spurs are gonna take them to 6, but I think they'll sweep the first 2 rounds. So I think the team that they play, the 8th seed they play in the first round, they'll sweep whoever that is. Good luck to that team. God bless that team. The second round they'll win in 5 or sweep, and then whoever plays them in the conference finals is probably going to take them to 5 or 6, but to think that anybody's really going to push them. I mean, think about this last year. They were down 3-1, but that was a lot of Durant and that was a lot of Westbrook. Durant is now on the Warriors. So this is the NBA is in a lot of trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't really like the way the Spurs match up against the Warriors, or maybe I'd give them a chance, but I'm not a big fan of that. Clippers, possibly. I think this team is hungry. I don't know if they beat them, but they could give them a tough series. I really like how the Blazers match up with them. Talent-wise, I don't know if they can match up with them, but, skill set, with the players they have, they can play small. Mm-hmm. And adding Evan Turner, I think, helps their game a little bit. So I'll give them a solid chance to push the Warriors maybe to 6 or 7. But in the East, like, do we have anybody that can compete? I don't think the Raptors can compete.
No,
maybe Boston.
If anybody could stand in the way of the Cavs Warriors, it's the Spurs, in my opinion, because Popovich is the best coach in basketball, and he'll try to sit there all night and figure out ways. Like, that's going to keep him up at night, and to figure out ways to try to beat this team, because the Spurs weren't able to get past the Thunder last year, but. In all honesty, it's going to be really, really difficult. Damian Lillard's going to have 60 a game in that series. You have to play like Michael Jordan for them to even compete. Last year, they had Curry out for a couple of those games. Let me tell you something. If Curry doesn't come back healthy like he did, and I remember when he did the I'm back thing and went nuts, that was when that happened. I said this guy is on a completely different level, and that's when I bought into the notion that he could be not only the best shooter ever, but one of the best players ever. And, obviously he'll finish like top 15, top 20 because he's a better player than like Nash was, than Jason Kidd was. But for the notion that, Curry is just a shooter, I think he's going to try to prove people wrong this year. Like, I think he should go into a facilitating role this year. If he tries to play like the 30-point-a-game guy, I don't think that's going to work on this team. I think he has to go into, let me try to get 12, 13, 14 assists, because if he does that, no one's going to beat them.
That's very true. And Kevin Durant there, he doesn't have to score as much. The team doesn't need him to put up 30. They probably didn't need him in the past to put up 30. Some games they did. But with Durant, Clay, Draymond Green, this team's set. Steph and, his MVP unanimous season last year. Let's talk about MVP race this year. Obviously, I think the favorite going into the season is Westbrook. Who are your top 3, top 5 guys for that MVP award this year?
I touched on Lillard. I think Lillard's in the conversation. I touched on, obviously, we know LeBron James might be eyeing his 5th MVP award because of the last 3 years, Durant and Curry winning that award. So I think LeBron will definitely eye that award this season. So I think you have to put LeBron's name in the hat. I think you throw Westbrook's name in the hat, obviously, because he's going to be on a mission this year. You throw Lillard's name in the hat just because of what he means to the Portland franchise and everything that he's been able to accomplish in the NBA. So I think those three guys are to me, and maybe Irving if LeBron doesn't want it, but those guys, like the Warriors guys, cancel each other out. You'll have some other guys that will make a push for it, but in the East, outside of LeBron, I don't think anybody can win it. And in the West, you look at the Warriors canceling each other out, and then the Spurs aren't going to have it. I mean, Leonard could be in the conversation also.
He could be.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a little bit in the conversation last year, even though his numbers weren't great. The Spurs season, he's their best player. But I agree with the point that the Warriors kind of cancel each other out. Their team's just too stacked.
Right.
And
you're not going to have somebody. They're going to have 4 All-Stars. They're going to be 4 All-Stars in their team.
Exactly. And, it's tough for them to win. I think Dame has a possibility. I think he came out and said, I want to be MVP this season. And, this year I feel MVP is a lot more open than it was in the past. Like in the past, you kind of had like 2 or 3 guys that are kind of locked in for it.
Yeah.
But this year I feel like, we don't really think LeBron's going to win with Kyrie and Kevin Love there. And we don't think Steph Curry or Kevin Durant's going to win the Warriors. So, kind of opens it up for Dame Lillard, Chris Paul, and my personal favorite, Russell Westbrook, who I think will probably – if the Thunder land a top 4 seed, I think he's pretty much a lock.
Can we I just want to can we look at one question? Somebody tweeted at us, my boy Nick Vitale out here from Merrick. He asked who will be the X factor on the Knicks this year. We've talked about this on our Knicks pod, Faye. Who do you think is the most important player or factor on the Knicks this season?
I mean, I'm not going to go with the obvious choice. I think Kristaps and Melo will be the obvious, but I think that I'm going to go with a monster factor. I'm going to go with the guys from the Bulls, Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. These guys, they're very good players. They have high basketball IQs in some sense, especially Noah on the defensive end. And I think they could provide this team some leadership and just some good basketball players. And the intensity that Noah will have playing in New York, being from New York, it's something that the Knicks team has needed for years. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I've watched plenty of Knicks basketball. The last time they had a guy like him was Tyson Chandler when he was good. And that's what they need. They need Noah to be a force inside, bring energy, get those hustle plays, kind of protect Kristaps, because we know Kristaps isn't the biggest guy. He's not quite up there in size, ready to bang with big body. So they need Noah to kind of protect him. And, I think so. Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, X factor for the Bulls this year. This year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the bench because you can get as much out of those guys as you want. But in the NBA, it takes 8 guys. I mean, you cannot win with 5 guys in the NBA. It's not possible. So, I mean, even the Warriors will tell you the bench is important. So these starters could have great games. Derrick Rose is not going to play 82 games, by the way. So Derrick Rose, let's just say Rose plays 65, and I think that's optimistic. If Rose plays 65, you're still going to need guys to come off the bench. Everyone wants to talk about Brandon Jennings. That's great and all, but on the defensive end, there's a lot to be desired there, or lack thereof. So for me, I think it's the bench. I think it's Lance Thomas. I think it's who's the Spanish big again? What's his name?
Herman. I don't know how to say his last name.
Gordon.
He had some nice moments in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I like Courtney Lee too. I think Courtney Lee is an interesting piece for this team. I thought that was probably their best signing of the offseason. I might catch some hate for that, but at least you know what you're getting with Courtney Lee. Rose, you don't know what you're getting with Joakim Noah because both these guys have been so injured. Courtney Lee's going to come in, play some great defense, give you a solid offensive player who can shoot the ball, and give you some athleticism, which I think this team will need because I kind of think they're a little bit slow in my opinion. But
why do Knicks fans look at me like they want to shoot me when I say that they're going to go 41-41? I mean, I love the optimism. Listen, as everybody knows, before I tried to pursue my own basketball career, I was the biggest Knicks fan on the block. So I know all about thinking that this team's going to be 50-32. Trust me, I know all about it, and I'm hyped to see how this turns out. I really want to see how they play together. It's going to be very interesting for me to watch how this team operates tonight. But to go out on a limb and say that this is a 3 or 2 seed is a little bit of a stretch, I think. No,
for sure. I mean, I think I wouldn't even guarantee them a top 4 seed. I think they should just be happy making the playoffs.
That's true. After 3 years of not making it, they should. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you gotta take one step at a time. Calm down. Knicks fans are a little crazy. Crazy. Go ahead, Eric.
Listen, I said that this was going to be a 5 or a 6 seed, and I think that's relatively fair.
I think that's fair too. Let's move on to the next question. One of our writers, a guest on the show a lot, you handle. He asked the question, which player will have the best first half of the season? James Harden, Russell Westbrook, or Steph Curry? Strictly first half.
Russ.
Yeah,
I mean, Russell Westbrook is going to come out like somebody stole something in his mother's house. That's how angry Russell Westbrook is going to play like an absolute savage in the first half of the season. And you listen, he already has done that. He already has been like that. But I think he turns it up even there's one guy in the league that makes everybody want to play harder. Is that not Russell Westbrook?
Yeah, no, he has that competitive edge, and even Jordan's come out instead. Like, if there's one guy that has the same type of edge that I had, it's Russell Westbrook. And I definitely agree with him because Westbrook just leaves it all in the court, no matter what point of the game. Like, everywhere, all the time. I think I'm agreeing with you on this fact. I think he's having the best first half of the season. Yeah. Curry's got to kind of fit into that new system with Kevin Durant there. And James Harden, I think, will do really well, but I don't think anybody will have numbers like Westbrook all season long.
Yeah, no, you're completely right about that. And I think with Harden is really just about offense. I mean, you need to be alert on both ends of the floor.
You need to impact the game on both ends of the floor. Russ definitely could be a better defender, but he still has an impact, with his athleticism, blocking shots, and getting steals. Would I like him to take less gambles and be an all-around great defender? Yes, but he also has to put up a ton of points, a ton of assists, and a ton of rebounds. So he gets a little more of a pass than Harden, who, he puts up great numbers, but he just doesn't show much effort on the defensive end. Russ is never going to be accused of not showing effort on the floor.
No, and listen, the thing about Westbrook is if he could just take one step back and realize that he's probably the most talented guy outside of LeBron in the league. Like, people say, oh, give me Westbrook over Curry. Listen, I'm not going to yell at you for that because, listen, Curry's amazing offensively, and he's a decent, I say, average to above average defender. This Thunder team, I mean, if you think about it, this Thunder team with Westbrook now leading the charge, we saw this a few years ago. How many triple-doubles did he have in that stretch? It was like he almost had a triple-double every night. It was a joke.
And he was on triple-double watch every single night. And I know this isn't about FanDuel or DraftKings, but his price was rocketing, and it was to the point where you almost – it was 11,000, 12 FanDuel. So, but moving on to this question, another writer, Jay Christian, great guy over there, moved to Texas recently. He hit us with a hard question. Way too early question, but who's going to be the biggest trade at the trade deadline?
I think Cousins is going to move.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. Yeah. I said in the Kings pod, I thought that it was necessary for the Kings to trade him. They just need to reset, get everything going, and I think it's best for Cousins. Get him in a better environment, a winning environment, a better culture. I don't want to talk shit about the Kings organization, but that is not ran correctly. I've liked the Nets in the past. I like the Nets, and they weren't ran correctly. So now they brought in new people, got everything going smoothly. I think Cousins needs to go to a place that's used to winning. He needs some veteran players. He needs someone to kind of help him. Like, you kind of watch the Kings, and they just look at DeMarcus Cousins to do everything on the offensive end.
Yeah, it's a bad situation there. I mean, didn't Rudy Gay say "Welcome to basketball hell" when George Karl got there or something like that? So I think that someone showed me that, but it's really a tough environment. I think Cousins could do. I mean, the thing I like about Cousins, and he just seems to be a decent person. I think there's some demons in there that he has to figure out, obviously, but he seems like a good dude. I mean, he plays really hard. He cares a lot about the game of basketball, which is something that us fans love to see when guys play really hard and they get into it. So it's one of those situations where I think if Cousins got in a winning environment, he would adjust. I don't know who the guys are going to be. Let's just say, for instance, if the Celtics didn't pick up Horford, Stevens might be able to take Cousins in and say, hey, this could be a good situation for you. I mean, don't swing at me, don't punch me in the face when I tell you this. You need to calm down.
Yeah, I think the Celtics could still make a move for him. They still have the assets. But like you said, I think Cousins needs to calm down a touch. One thing that kind of annoys the shit out of me with him is, stop complaining about the ref calls. Everybody gets fouled. There's a ton of calls get missed. You can't complain every time. You got to worry about the game and get back on defense.
Well, from working summer basketball camps, I know a lot about kids thinking that foul should be called. So I think it's very funny when pros – I mean, listen, calls are going to get argued. You're going to argue calls. But the amount of calls that get argued in the NBA has got to be a little bit bothersome, no?
Yeah, no, it is. And, I officiated in the past, and that it's just literally basketball is probably one of the toughest sports to officiate because it's so fast and just things happen so quick and you don't always have the best angle. So these refs kind of, are sprinting down the floor. They're trying to see things at the same time, and it's just very tough. Other than Cousins, anybody else you think gets moved at the deadline? Do you think the Bulls could move Jimmy Butler if things go really south there, or no?
No, I don't. I think they're going to keep that together. I really think they're going to keep that together. My best friend Muhammad asked me if I think the Nets are going to really make the playoffs. Muhammad, the Nets are going to be better than people think. All right, relax with the anti-net stuff. Obviously, for people to know that I tried out for their team and stuff and all that, but that's not important now. What's important is that Jeremy Lin's insanity is alive again in New York. All right, so everybody out there that wants to hate on the Nets, that's fine. I'll do my fair share of. I don't really hate that much. I don't hate the Knicks like people think I do. I just, I'm upset about a couple things that happen here or there. But no, I don't think the Nets are going to make the playoffs. But me and Muhammad have a little back and forth going, and I think it's funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Nets, like you said, will be better than people think. They're not going to make the playoffs unless something miraculous happens. But it'll be a lot more fun to watch. And like I said, I talked about the Kings and how their kind of organization was in the shits. The Nets definitely were in that place.
What about the Hornets, though? Look at the Hornets last year. Like, is that outrageous? Did everybody think that they were going to win 48 games last year?
Yeah, I thought that they might make a push for the playoffs, but I didn't think they do as well as they did. So,
is the East that good? Is the East that good? And I'm going to talk to Muhammad again. Is the East that good for you to say, well, the Pistons have no shot? The Pistons were in it last year. Let me give you a better example. Who's in like another
the Magic.
Of course the Magic have a shot. It's the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Anybody outside of the Sixers who have nobody, and now that Simmons is out, outside like the Nets have NBA players on their team. Like they have a few NBA players on their team. So it's outrageous to say that anybody is done in the East, at least.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That's my personal opinion. I could go on and on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just let the Nets talk for themselves. I'm happy. If they at least can win 30 games, I'll be pretty pumped about that. But
let's get them to 30. We predicted let's get them a little over 30. Let's try to get them over 30, Nick.
Exactly. Matthew Handel with another question. Who averages more points per game, Steph Curry or Kevin Durant?
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say Durant because I think Curry has to go into the facilitator role.
The true point guard role.
The true point guard role, because he was forced to score like that for them. Because say what you want about Thompson, he doesn't create a shot as well as Curry, as we know. But like Harden creates a shot better than Thompson creates a shot. So So Curry was forced to do that scoring. Now with the elite score of Durant coming in, I'm going to say Curry's going to be at 22 and 11, and I'm going to say Durant's going to be a 25 a game guy.
Yeah, I'm going with Durant as well in this. I think Durant kind of relies more on his scoring, where I could see Curry becoming more of a facilitator. He just needs to clean up those sloppy passes. We don't need a behind-the-back pass all the time, especially that one in the finals.
Fun to watch, isn't it?
It's fun, except when it's in the finals, and that's a big turnover in Game 7. So I think I'll go with Kevin Durant, like you said. I think Steph Curry's going to take more of that point guard role. I got another question from another writer, Corey Waldron. Can Chris Paul and Blake Griffin lead the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals?
Can Chris Paul and Blake
Griffin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they can. And listen, it's the last hoorah for them if this doesn't work out. And Chris Paul has caught some serious heat in the past for not being able to get to the conference finals. I saw a meme one time that when Riley Curry was coming under the table at one of Curry's press conferences, it has Chris Paul's face on it trying to sneak into the conference finals. So
savage.
That is. I think Chris Paul has had trouble with Steph Curry. Two of Curry's best plays in his career have been against Chris Paul. The one where he hit him on the behind the back on the baseline, where he did the dance. It looked like he was playing.
That's one of the most meme plays I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
That's the one where he hits the whatchamacallit. It looks like he's playing Twister. And then the one where Curry's dribbling through like 5 people, and Steve Kerr's like, "What are you doing, man?" And then he throws up this shot that's like, "Geez, like this is insane." So Yeah, I think that Chris Paul's got a shot. Can they beat the Warriors? I don't think so, but they could definitely win their second round series. They haven't in the past, but I could see it. They should have been there when the Rockets beat them. I don't know how that happened. The Clippers were up.
That was pitiful.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. As a Clippers fan, that would probably make me cry, to be quite honest. You're blowing a 3-1 lead to a team that showed no energy, no hustle, no defense all series, and out of nowhere you let them win 3 games. Stop.
Yeah, that has to be a hard one to swallow for Clipper fans who know all about not being able to get over the hump and being the little brother of the Lakers. They're still the toast of that town. They're still the toast of that town, but in a very crazy way because they haven't been able to accomplish what they've wanted to.
Exactly. We'll come back to some more questions later on. Let's talk. Going to the season, who are some guys you think are going to make a splash and, possibly be first-time All-Stars?
Yes, our first time. I'm excited about it. I like this stuff.
Yeah, it's always nice to see these young guys take off.
Yeah, our first-time All-Stars. Greek Freak is going to be an All-Star this year. And I got my man from Phoenix, Booker, Devin Booker. So I'll take those 2 guys being an All-Star this year. I like, obviously, the Greek Freak and all of his ridiculous antics and his length is, he could touch the mailbox from inside. His length is out of control. And Booker is a very nice player. He's a good 6'5", 6'6". He's a long, athletic 2-guard, and he can shoot the basketball. So, yeah, I mean,
extremely well.
Extremely well, yeah. So Booker and the Greek Freak, I got as All-Stars. What about you?
Oh, I just want to touch on Booker real quick. I love this kid. He's already a great shooter, and he's already shown a better all-around game than people thought. I think he's 18, 19 years old. So he just can add to his game, and having that shooting is such a freaking advantage that I feel like he's set up for success if he just works hard. But, Greek Freak as well, I think he'll definitely probably be a lock. We got Karl Anthony Towns, who'll probably be a lock for the All-Star game. Andrew Wiggins, I think, will be a guy that gets in the All-Star game. I think Tibbs is going to have these guys playing excellent defense. And I think they're going to be a surprise team this year as well. Some people don't think they're ready for the playoffs. I think they're ready to compete for that 8th seed. Also, I think Hassan Whiteside would be another guy. I think he's the man now. They lost Dwayne Wade. They lost all these veterans. They're going to give him a lot of touches. He's going to have a big opportunity there. Kemba Walker's another guy. Just missed last year. I think if the Hornets
he'll get in.
Yeah, if the Hornets have any type of success and land up, are in a playoff seeding, I think that he'll get in. One guy I think will surprise people possibly get in is Jeremy Lin. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Nets fan. I think he's going to go crazy average 10, but his fan base is so big that he could get voted in.
Yeah, you know what? The people really like this kid. And listen, what happened in 2012 as I was watching this, and I want to tell a quick Linsanity story because now that he's back in Brooklyn, that story was near and dear to my heart because when I was in college at my senior year in New Paltz, everybody was going nuts about this. And all I kept saying was, let's keep him. Let's keep him. Let's keep him. I like this kid. Let's keep him. So now full circle comes all the way back to Brooklyn. And this is a good NBA. Say what you want. He's a good NBA player. People could tell you whatever. He averaged 16 on a playoff team last year. So this is a good NBA player. He can make the jump to being an All-Star. Absolutely. And they might not win a ton of games, but if they win enough and he has the fan base and he's averaging 20 and 10, like you said, or 17 and 8, and he loves playing under Atkinson. Atkinson was the reason why
Linsanity started.
Yes. This is as full circle as it gets. And
it's a kind of cool thing. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. I want to see them win as many games as they can, like I told you about the D-League opportunity. So I want to see them win as many games as they can because Atkinson and Leonard they just seem like good guys. Brooks a good guy. They're easy to root for. I told you I met Hollis Jefferson. So this seems like a good group. And, I don't know. Lynn could definitely be an All-Star in my mind.
Yeah, he definitely could. And, he'll have the opportunities. Shout out to Rondé real quick. I love that kid. Ton of energy. He makes me excited to watch the Nets. But getting into tonight, it's the opening night. We got 3 games on schedule. First off, Knicks Cavs. Then we got Jazz Blazers. And then to finish it off, we got Spurs Warriors. Let's start with Knicks Cavs. Predictions, preview for the game.
Well, the Knicks fans are going to kill me.
I love it.
I got the cat. Well, I don't want to protect my pick because I will make a pick, but just listen to me on this one. The Knicks are going to compete hard tonight. Carmelo's going to come out blazing. Melo will give you his 25 tonight, 28, whatever he gives you. But with all that being said, LeBron James, the Indians are playing in the World Series tonight in Cleveland. It's a big night in Cleveland, the ring night. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think you're going to be really impressed with what you see by the Knicks in Game 1, but I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough. I got the Cavs 108, the Knicks 101. How about you?
I'm going to agree with you on this. I don't really care if the Knicks fan because they already do. So I think
just go at the Knicks fans, Nick.
Just go at it. I don't care. Come at me. But I'm gonna go with the Cavs when like you said, too much energy, too much excitement in Cleveland. LeBron brought the championship home. There's no way he's losing this game, I don't think, unless they just come out with a ton of nervous energy and the Knicks big lead in this quarter. I think if I'm the Knicks, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, like there's too much excitement in Cleveland. There's too much adrenaline. Let's try to get an early lead easy.
Can I just mention Vitali's right? Vitali's right. I wanted to point this out. We forgot Porzingis as a first. Listen, this is what I will say about Porzingis.
Oh, yeah, that's
what I will say about Porzingis, Vitali. Whatchamacallit? Melo's an all-star, and Rose plays well. He's an all-star. So they're not going to give the Knicks 3 guys, I don't think.
I would put Porzingis over Rose, though. I think.
No, I would too. But what happens if Rose returns to old form?
I think if the Knicks are going to have any success, it'll be more important for a Porzingis to have a big season than Rose in a sense.
That's probably true, but what happens if you turn the game on tonight and Derrick Rose dunks on somebody?
I'll be like, yo, it's one game.
Don't downplay Derrick Rose. I hope Rose is healthy, but yeah, Porzingis is definitely in that conversation, and so is Harris. I missed another guy that I want to talk about, Harrison Barnes on the Mavericks.
Yeah,
because this is a guy that's going to get a lot of opportunity now, and just the fact that he's getting a lot of opportunity coming from a situation where he was a role guy, Barnes could thrive and be a 20-point-a-game guy.
Yeah, he's going to have an opportunity to be a star in Dallas, so it'll be on him if he wants to step up. And, confidence is a big thing for that kid, but that's for another episode. Talking about the game, my final prediction, I'm going to go with the Cavs 104-92.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, listen, this game's going to be right there at half.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a competitive game. Opening, you don't really see many blowouts on the. Actually, that's a lie. I've seen blowouts on the first night of the season.
Listen, they're not getting blown out tonight.
They're not getting blown out tonight. No, they're not. All right, on to the Jazz and the Blazers. This is 2 teams that I think are going to be competing for home court in the Western Conference playoffs. So this should be an exciting game, and it should kind of give us a preview about what these teams are ready for this season.
Yeah, the Blazers-Jazz game is going to be cool. I didn't get my league pass yet, so I'm kind of pissed about that. This game's not on NBA TV, is it?
No, I think it's league pass. I mean, but it'll be on the same time as the other game, so it'll be tough to watch anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'll follow it, but Dame Lillard and McCollum host the Jazz in their home opener tonight, and now it takes a little juice out of it without Hayward because the Jazz need Hayward.
Yeah, they do, but they have some major depth on that team.
What?
They have some major depth on that team. That's one of probably the deepest teams.
Yeah, but they need Hayward though. Hayward's their best player.
Yeah, Hayward's a very underrated player going into the season.
Their best player,
but
he could have been a first-time All-Star. But I think that the Blazers win by double digits tonight.
Another possible first-time All-Star on that team would be Derek Favors, very overlooked player who's been super solid for them inside. People kind of just forget about him. I think he was a top 5 pick by the Nets. It was trading that Darren Williams trade, but he turned out into a great player. I'm going to go with the Blazers in Rip City. I think that they're just going to come through. It's going to be a home court. That crowd's going to get a little wild and crazy.
It's hard to beat somebody on opening night on the road.
Exactly.
The Knicks have a shot. I'm not going to give them the win, though. The Jazz have a shot, but I don't think they could do it. And now we're going to talk about the marquee matchup of the night, the Beatles of the NBA. They're as big as it gets. The names are as big as they get. The Spurs against the Warriors at 10:30. This place is going to be rocking.
We have possibly 7 All-Stars in this game.
Oh, my God.
You figure you got Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol, who's not that far from being an All-Star. Then you got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant.
Yep.
This game is filled with NBA talent. This
is to me the Western Conference Finals too. If I had to make a prediction, I'd say Spurs Warriors, but I could see Clippers Warriors. And somebody today made a prediction about the Knicks being in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't agree with that, so to speak, but could you imagine on opening night you get both Eastern Conference Finals matchups?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I'm sorry, both conference finals matchups. Excuse me.
I mean, it's a possibility. You know, you never know when how the seeding matches up, and you get a matchup in the second round that's really favorable for you. You know, you might just find yourself in the conference finals. But I think this matchup, I think this game, I don't think Pop really gives a shit. You know, if he wins this game or not, he didn't really
show. Man, that guy is the man, and his interviews on the sideline are legitimately the best part about the evening. I mean, Pop, you know, what'd you guys think about that first quarter? You know, we got to score more, and then just elaborate on that. We got to put the ball in the hoop. I mean, that's what he's giving you. He's not really giving you more than that on the sideline. So that's something I'll look for tonight. Because let's just say the Warriors go out tonight and they're up 41-20 after the first quarter, and they interview Pop. That's gonna be classic TV. Classic TV.
Yeah. I kind of always thought, like, if you're a coach, like, why do you want to do an interview during the game? Like, you wouldn't want to do that anyways. You know, you want to focus on the game and on your game plan. So I understand what it gives him so much attitude, and he's just like, so. But talking to prediction, I think the Warriors win this one by 15. I'm going to go 112-98.
I got him even more than that, man. I think they're going to blow the doors off tonight. I think the Spurs are going to compete in the first half, and then you could see this one getting north of 12, 13. You said, what'd you say, 15?
I said, I ended up with 14, 112-98.
I'm going to agree with you. I was thinking about making it 20, but then I realized I was hyping it too much. And
yeah, and the Spurs bench will come in.
But what if they do it by like 30, though? What does that happen?
I mean, it's tough to say because we kind of know the Spurs don't care, because last year when they had the big matchups against the Warriors, they rested guys.
Yeah, I remember watching those. I do remember watching those games.
So, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal if that happens. So it kind of like doesn't really tell us much about the Warriors tonight unless the Spurs win. That's the only way we find out anything about the Warriors tonight is if the Spurs win. Because there's so much you don't know how much the Spurs care. I mean, it's opening night, so every team wants to start on the right step. It just looks so much better if you start 1-0, but like I said, I don't think Pop cares.
No, he doesn't. So we're going to go with all the home teams tonight. I don't see who has the best shot on the road tonight?
I'm going to go with the Jazz because I think they're a very deep team.
I agree with that.
The Blazers can get a little inconsistent here and there. You know, the Jazz play some great defense. They can kind of frustrate Lillard and McCollum. And like I talked about their bench, they're a deep team. So I'll give the Jazz a good shot. Probably then I'd give the Knicks a shot, and then the Spurs.
In that order, I agree. It's the Jazz have the best shot. The Knicks have a better shot than the Spurs because you're walking into an absolute buzzsaw in Golden State. And the Knicks might be able to catch LeBron and the Cavs thinking about the World Series. So LeBron even said he wanted to get out of there right after the game and watch the World Series. So, it's going to be interesting to watch this Cavs-Knicks game. I think it's going to be really fun to see how Rose and Noah make their debuts and see if this is a team that could really contend in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it kind of gives us an idea, but sorry to be rude, Knicks fans, but it doesn't really matter because, a lot depends on if Noah and Rose are playing games. They're going to make the first game, but later down the road, are they going to be able to play 60 games?
If they win this game, I'm going to hide tomorrow because I just don't want the backlash to say, listen, I understand where this team is at. All right. I understand where they're at. But if they win tomorrow, just like Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo said, the Knicks are the best team. And then what happened in the playoffs? So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. You have to curb. Again, I like to quote Larry David on this, curb your enthusiasm. Would this be a great win for the Knicks? No doubt about it. This would be a great, great win for the Knicks. Great win for the Knicks. But at the end of the day,
it's also one game, and it's the first game of the season. And I don't really start making opinions about teams until about a quarter of the way through.
Listen, Knicks fans should go nuts tonight if they win. They should be really pumped up if they win because it would be a great, great win. But I think you have to just take it one game at a time. And if they win tonight, I wouldn't change my prediction. I still think this is a 500 team, maybe a few games over. But I'm just willing to. I just want to see how everything gels and how Derrick Rose looks. To me, the biggest factor on this team right now, as we talked about this before, is the bench. But if Rose's legs are healthy, man, there's just no telling what the potential of this team is.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is they're healthy, but how long are they going to stay healthy? Also, another point, Corey Waldron.
Hey, Nick, don't root against the Knicks' health, Nick. Come on.
I'm not rooting. I'm just saying. I'm just stating facts. You know, how many times? When was the last time he played 70 games?
No, you're right. You're right. I would like to see him healthy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of have to be understanding the fact that like you probably want to rest a guy 10 games even if he is healthy just to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But quick shout out real quick. Corey Waldron mentioned one of our writers. Derek Favors is out tonight for the Jazz. So that's a big hit for that team, missing Hayward and Favors.
Yeah, no, now they're done. They're done.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Lyles could come in and give him some nice and Boris Diaw, but it'll be tough. But
that's all she wrote for the Jazz. I got the three home games. The 3 home teams will probably win tonight. And
then tomorrow night, a ton of more basketball. You can catch us all season long. We'll be doing a weekly podcast. Check out otgbasketball.com. Follow us on Twitter at otgbasketball. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Great show, Harris. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, really excited. Again, thanks for all the questions, all the support at OTG Basketball on Twitter. Really appreciate all that feedback and all the positivity that's going on the website. So, again, really, really appreciate that, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks.